In this show, we'll construct a full cash and GPP lineup on the main slate on FanDuel for week 1. Plus, we'll open up the mailbag. It's all coming up next. Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Lee.
And I'm Michael Wiley, and we're the Fantasy Football Consultants. Eric, week 1 is finally upon us. Are you ready?
Oh, I've been ready since February. All the preseason content. We had the biggest preseason here at the FFC as ever before. This is actually our 27th show. I am ready to get into it. This is our final look at FanDuel. But we need to alert all you guys out there. We have 3 really great contests where you can win up to $600, but a couple of them close this week, so you got to get them in. The first one I want to tell you about is our NFL Survivor Poll. Look in the description for all the instructions. Just know you need to make that first pick, well, by Thursday if you want to pick Tampa Bay, but if you want to pick any of the Sunday games, you got to make it by 9:55 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Sunday, September 12th on CBS Sports. Michael,
Eric,
what's the other contest they got?
Eric, I think you just shamed the Cowboys already on week 1, but I understand. So we also have each division. We've broken down each division, told you what we think is going to happen within those divisions in terms of order of finishing in the division, who's going to win, which teams may become wild cards, talk a little bit about fantasy implications in those divisions. I feel like those are really exciting shows. And there's a contest. People have a chance to win. Those that go in, put their order of finish, what they expect order to finish to be, those who make the right decision will have a chance to win an opportunity to meet us and participate in a show. And so that could be for each division. There's a chance to win. Go and look at the description here. We have links to those videos as well.
All right. And this is the third contest, and it deals with this FanDuel show. So this FanDuel show is like none other on YouTube. There are 3 key things that we do. We take a stand by completing a full cash and GPP lineup. And the second thing that we do that no one else does was we update that lineup in the pinned comment section for injuries and other values that open up after the video is recorded. And then third, we want to hear from the wisdom of our FFC community that offers suggestions in the comment section. Now, to encourage you guys to not only make suggestions and respond to each other's questions, we are going to reward our most active and accurate 18 commenters from week 1 to week 10 with entry into our free contest on FanDuel in weeks 11 and 14, where you can win up to $200. You'll compete against Michael Wiley and I for that $200. And I just want to give a shout out to Brian Taylor and Scott Beller. You guys are already well on your way. Don't rest on your laurels, but to being 2 of the 18 because they have been putting in some really substantive comments, and we really appreciate it. From time to time, we like to open up the mailbag and hear what people are saying in the comment section.
Mail call. Gather around, everyone.
Well, let's see what's in the mail. What's this? A letter for me.
I'm going to start with this first one from Alan Alexander, who asks, do you have a website?
There's been a change this year. We do not have a website anymore. We wanted to create our YouTube channel as a one-stop shopping for everything that you need to know about what's going on in our channel. So it's going to be really important to check the description and check the pinned comments because we're going to be making announcements. We're also going to be providing links to relevant shows. So be sure to check that out. We've streamlined it for you guys this year.
We've also got a little love, some self-aggrandizing here. Dave Lygeski, I think I said it right, says, you guys are great. Can't wait for another entertaining season of picks. Thank you for being different in a great way from all the other cocky know-it-all armchair quarterbacks out there on YouTube. I appreciate that one.
Yeah, I don't get it. How can you get cocky when it comes to daily fantasy football or fantasy football? You continually get humbled. Here's the one thing I can guarantee you about our picks. there are going to be plenty of times this year they're 100% wrong. So, but what we try to do on this channel is take a stand and give you the reasons behind that so you can make your own decisions. Michael, and I just want to say, I want to thank our FFC community, not just for wonderful comments like this, but just for their support through the years. This is why we do it. I would never want to do this, Michael, if it was one way. If it was just one way and we never get to hear what you guys are feeling and what your takes on the show. So we appreciate each of you. Look, on one side, I'm very proud that we're nearing 8,000 subscribers, and that's great. But it's also, we're small. We're a small channel in general on YouTube and even in DFS. So we're competing with a lot of other channels that are bigger, that may have the backing of DraftKings or some of these big corporations. So we really appreciate you guys. We read every one of your comments. And when you guys leave really nice comments or give us a take on how our content has really affected you, it really makes our day. So we really appreciate you guys.
Yeah, that's why we do this, right? It's the interactivity. That's why we put on these contests, which we hope you guys really participate in. That's why we're trying to do some live shows. That's why we're trying to reward the winners of these contests with participating in some shows. Last one here, Eric, is from Dave Brom. He said, this is a great little plug for our masterclass series. He says, just shared this whole masterclass series with my new Draft Kings League. I started this year, got a couple brand new DK players that will benefit exponentially from the series. Hopefully they don't start beating me now.
Well, how giving of you guys you are, Dave, of your competitors. Look how it's going to be that much more valuable when you beat them, when you know that they've at least been gotten some basic training. No, thank you for that. I just want to comment that he mentioned something about sharing our content that we don't really talk about much, but man, that really helps us. So to the extent you like our things, we're always going to say, please like our videos. And if you haven't yet, for God's sakes, please hit the red subscriber button followed by the bell icon. But sharing our content is a big thing as well.
Thanks for that mail, guys. Eric, I think we got to get to what we came to do today. Let's get to the FanDuel lineups.
Yeah. All right, Michael, we're on the main slate for DraftKings. We did a first look a couple of weeks ago, but a lot of things have changed. So what would we like to do?
Well, as usual, let's start running back, right? Where I think that we want to make sure we get some strength, and let's pick a workhorse, right? And let's go with the guy who we know is going to get lots of touches, somebody who is proficient in the passing game, somebody who's only $1,000 more than the most expensive guy out there, when sometimes we see him 2,000 and 3,000 because he's just so freaking good. He's playing the Jets. We got to go with Christian McCaffrey. What do you think?
Yeah, I know that is what we talked about, but I think I'm going to pull an audible because I at first I thought you were describing Dalvin Cook, because yes, he is playing a terrible defense. He's a bell cow. Gosh, I really like him. And he's someone who, you love to get at the beginning of the season when you know he's fresh and healthy. So when we save $1,000, how about Dalvin Cook? I'm thinking,
I mean, okay, I know he's a stud. He always has a great beginning of the season, and he does have Cincinnati. But I mean, Christian McCaffrey's only $1,000 more, right? I mean, isn't it worth it?
Yeah, well, okay. So tell you what, let's handle things like they do in Congress. When they can't agree, they get both. we just break the budget and go both.
So we're just gonna raise taxes then. Okay, sounds good. tax.
Yeah. So let's jump right to the flex position, because we're gonna pick our third running back. Do you want to talk about him?
Well, I know who we're going with, because he's my guy, and that's ever since Travis Etienne was hurt. I think it's clear that James Robinson is going to be the guy there in Jacksonville. I know we've had a coaching change and we have a quarterback change as well, but with that injury, I think it's clear he's going to get a lot of touches this week, and he's so cheap. So I really like him, and with what we just spent on those first two, we got to be really thoughtful.
But these three guys, McCaffrey, Cook, and Robinson, they all are bell cows. They all get goal line carries. They all are get involved in the passing game, and they all face below average rush defense.
The worst defenses in the league.
Yeah. And guess what? I think it is not unreasonable at all that we see 75 touches out of our 3 running backs. And man, what a great way to start your cash lineup.
Agreed. No question.
All right. So the good bad news is we only have $5,700 per person. So we're going to need to come up with some values at wide receiver. Is there any value out there at wide receiver, Michael, that you are drawn to?
I mean, there's a couple spots where I think there's some value. I really like Devonta Smith. I think he's on a team where he's going to be the number 1 guy. He just comes off his Heisman Trophy win. Yeah, Philadelphia's got some question marks with their ability to move the ball like we saw last year. But, Jalen Hurts, I think, improves things from the quarterback position. They had a nice kind of end of the season. I think he's a good bargain. What do you think?
Was that just a backhanded slap at Carson Wentz you just made?
Maybe.
Maybe. I like Devonta Smith's position because there isn't a lot of competition. I think he has a really good chance of being their number 1 wide receiver, even in week 1. They also are facing the Atlanta Falcons. Dead last. I'm sure they tell all their friends that they are the 32nd best pass defense. Well, there's only 32 teams in the NFL, folks. So I really like that. And we really get a nice savings at $5,300. I am going to go with another guy with some savings right underneath. This is a guy that we have really been all in on in both FanDuel and DraftKings, and for good reason. At $5,200, Marquez Callaway. So at some point, you guys have to ask yourself, do you trust the New Orleans offense and Sean Payton? Because who is going to catch the passes? Michael Thomas is not playing. Emmanuel Sanders is gone. Jared Cook is gone. Adam Troutman is likely not going to play. Traquan Smith probably will play, but he's coming off an injury in the preseason. And Marquez Callaway had a great preseason, specifically playing with Jameis Winston.
Yeah, I think my only reticence here is Green Bay's defensive backfield has been strong at times, and they can, corner a wide receiver and kind of shut him down a little bit. But like you say, I think I do trust Sean Payton, his ability to make sure the ball gets distributed. He is an offensive genius. I like this pick, especially for the price.
So by going dirt cheap on Callaway and Devonta Smith, who I happen to believe are number 1 wide receivers on their teams in games where 48 and 50 total points are going to be scored, I'm just going to go all out on the last guy. Yeah, it's kind of unbelievable that not only do we have Christian McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook in this lineup, we're going to get the best wide receiver in the land, Davante Adams, at $8,600. Michael, if you look at the way Green Bay runs their offense, they just make every effort to get Adams the ball. They'll throw behind the line of scrimmage to him. They'll throw deep. They'll use him as a possession receiver. They love to throw to him around the goal line. So I like this guy a lot, and he's the number 1 wide receiver on most people's list in all of football.
Yeah, and he's coming off 2 fantastic seasons in a row where he's the fantasy guy, and I think he's in the prime of his life. He's really a special talent. Yeah, he probably will have Lattimore on him for a good part of the game, but Davante Adams is, I think, the safest bet at wide receiver in the NFL.
Yeah, and we're in a cash game, folks. I mean, you can make an argument, hey, how about Tyreek Hill? I just think Davante Adams has more of a floor than Tyreek Hill. So if this was a GPP lineup and I was trying to deciding between the two, I might opt for Hill, but for cash, I'm going with Davante Adams.
Exactly. I'm glad you made that point. Just a good reminder to our viewers that we really go in these cash games with a high floor.
All right, so let's go to quarterback. All right, at quarterback, Michael, we can't afford any of the top quarterbacks. It was actually a decision. Did we want to go with Davante Adams and a lower quarterback, or did we want to pick a mid-range wide receiver and one of the top of the line quarterbacks? We opted for Davante Adams. And, it's a guy that I trust a lot in week one. Why do I trust Sam Darnold first? First of all, good situation. He's at home. He's a favored. Implied total of 24, which isn't bad. And I just love his weapons, Michael. He has DJ Moore. He has Robbie Anderson. He has Terrace Marshall, who's looked really good as a rookie in the preseason. And of course, he has Christian McCaffrey to just dump off short passes and get all the credit as he runs down the field for passing yards. I think Sam Darnold provides a nice floor.
Yeah, and he's going against his prior team, right? He has a lot of reason to play up for this game. I'm sure he's going to do whatever he can to convince his coaches to let them run up the score against the lowly Jets. I like it. I like it a lot. And yeah, I think Zach Wilson, who may have a couple of games this year where he goes off, is not even worth talking about.
Oh, I like how you said, hey, this is a revenge game. But it's not just a revenge game against anybody. It's against the New York Jets, whose pass defense is not good. So we're going to be happy to take advantage of that. All right, we've got to move over to tight end. So I'm going to need to save some money. So I'm going to go down, and the guy that I am going to pick at $5,100 is the money man, the guy that the Cleveland Browns threw a ton of money at. And I gotta love Stefanski. He says, quote, "We're gonna grow his role." That may just be coach speak, Michael, but what the heck? I'll buy it. For $5,100, I'll buy it. And he plays a Kansas City Chief defense that isn't particularly good at defending tight ends. So I like Austin Hooper here.
Yeah, I mean, NFL teams who throw money at players got to convince their fans that they did the right thing. And one way they do that is by increasing utilization. I think that's a good way to go. I think Cleveland needs to get the ball to the tight end a little bit more to improve things at the offensive side. So I think that's a pretty good bargain. I think you mentioned there are some high-end guys that are at least worth considering if you had the money for them. The other one to call, I think, is Kyle Pitts at $6,000 as well. But we got to save the money because of how much we spent elsewhere.
When you're looking for a defense, there's a couple of things that you would like. You would like a defense that's home. You would like a defense that's favored. Buffalo is a 6.5-point favorite. You would like to play an immobile QB, Ben Roethlisberger. Check. You would like to play an offense that has a poor offensive line. That's Pittsburgh. Check, check, and check. I think this is a deal at $3,600, the Buffalo defense. You score in defense in fantasy by teams taking chances in the passing game, because all interceptions and all sacks and about 60% of the fumbles happen in the passing game. So I think from a game script perspective, Buffalo should be ahead, and I think it's going to force Pittsburgh to throw the ball. So there we go. So that is our cash lineup: Sam Darnold, Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Devontae Smith, Marquez Callaway, Davante Adams, two Davantes, sort of, Austin Hooper, James Robinson, and the Buffalo defense. Now, we are going to the extent that we get news, and we want to look out for you guys. Remember, we want you active in the comment section. Tell us about, hey, what just happened to the latest news? If there's some information that we think that we should pivot off this cash lineup, we'll put a pinned comment in sometime between now and Sunday, say 15 minutes before game time. We'll try to do it Sunday morning, but often we see the inactive list in the morning and we might pivot after that. So you might want to come back to the video and check it out. All right, this is our GPP lineup. All GPP lineups have to start with the stack, because again, for GPP, you want to have correlation, because we don't care about finishing in the top 40% or the top 35% like you would in a cash game. We want to really go for it. The biggest correlation is QB and his key targets in the passing game. So we wanted to attack the Philadelphia and Atlanta game. That's a 48 over under. And it's a little sneaky play because there are other games that are higher scoring, but 48 is still a lot of points. It's in a dome. So we're going to do on one side, Matt Ryan throwing to, we think, his two biggest targets, Calvin Ridley and Kyle Pitts, who they said they're going to line up everywhere, Michael. And then we're going to run that back with Devontae Smith. What do you think?
I like this game. This is going to be a high scoring game. Both defenses are atrocious really right now. I know Matt Ryan probably isn't super exciting compared to other quarterbacks out there at that price, but I think, Calvin Ridley and Kyle Pitts are, and I think against Philadelphia, you could see a good week one for Matt Ryan, who tends to do really good early in the season. And then Devontae Smith's the guy at Philadelphia where you talked about him.
Yeah. Atlanta can get up, and you know what? They blow leads like the best of them, right? All right. So, all right. The other game that we wanted to attack is Minnesota and Cincinnati. That also is a 48 over and under. And in choosing what game to attack when you're getting guys on both sides, I love it when it's a shootout. In other words, when the lines makers have a short line. So this is a 2.5 point spread. The other one was a 3.5 point spread. So it shouldn't be that one team's going to get way up and then run the ball a lot. So we hope that it's a back and forth. And we're going to go with Joe Mixon and Dalvin Cook. Now, I know some people out there say, don't do that. You should never pick two running backs in a GPP. I agree with that if they are primarily running backs, meaning they're not heavily involved in the passing game. But Dalvin Cook and Joe Mixon are going to be heavily involved in the passing game. We've already talked about how Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon doesn't have Gio Bernard to compete with anymore. I expect him to definitely get 5 or 6 catches in this game. So can't go wrong there.
Yeah, I think that's the key here is Mixon going to get more involved in the passing game like he should have been historically, which I think is just going to help Cincinnati, show a little bit more of a mix up. I really don't like the, running back that runs the ball and passing running back that comes in on third down, because I think it changes things up for how defenses play against you. So I really hope to see Mixon get the ball thrown to him, and I think he will.
I love that. This running back is in the game. He's probably going to throw the ball, not run with him. All right. All right. So we've talked about a lot of the other guys, but we didn't talk about Terry McLaurin. I love Terry McLaurin. If he is a bust this year, you can blame me because I'm all in on this guy. And I especially like him in GPP because I think he has a really high ceiling. Poor McLaurin.
Yeah, don't forget Fitzpatrick's now in town. They have quarterback change. I think that's going to make a big difference for a guy who's already seeing a lot of targets.
Well, you just stepped on what I was going to say. I was going to say poor McLaurin has had the worst quarterback throwing to him. And not just because they're inaccurate, but they're not taking chances with him down the field. I think, Michael, you gave a great stat with he is one of the leaders in all the NFL in separation. So love that Fitzpatrick is there. I don't care if Fitzpatrick throws an interception here or there. I want him to take chances down the field. And finally, we already talked about James Robinson, but in GPP, we're always looking for correlation. So we're going to pair James Robinson with his defense. As we talked about in NFL DFS Master Class, if you think a team will get dominated, then you'd love to get their running back and who will continue to run the ball as they have the lead, and their defense who will be in a situation where they know the other team will have to pass. And Michael, is there any other team that we could think of that we'd rather say they'll get dominated than the Houston Texans? They're dead last this year in chances to win the Super Bowl. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think some people are going to laugh that we're going with the team that last year won only one game.
All right, that's our GPP lineup. Guys, thanks so much for joining us. We want to remind you, take a look at these videos on the screen. There was the DraftKings video all about the very first game, Thursday night, Dallas and Tampa Bay. Check that out. And if you want to laugh, check out the video on the right-hand side of your screen. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
See you soon, guys. Thanks.